run sound for your church. Okay. Or let's say that you are doing like what we're doing. We have a little live stream TV show that we put out, regularly. If you want good sound, you need a preamp that's going to boost that sound and allow you to sculpt it. So that being said, obviously a band, because you have all the different inputs, whether that's, guitars, microphones, drums, so on, that all need to go into that mixer. Now, as you can imagine, a mixer with all the little controls that you can have, you're going to have, traditionally, you would have a control knob for each individual function. So you might think, well, how many functions are there? You just need the volume, right? Well, no, there's more than that. The first function would be some sort of sensitivity, like how sensitive is the microphone. Okay, that's oftentimes use the word gain. Then you would likely have some sort of equalization on that preamp. So that's your knobs that control high frequency, low frequency, mid-range frequency. These are very important because, again, to have a full balanced sound, you need to kind of balance all of those little details, right? Then you would have some sort of fader that allows the overall sculpted sound that you created to go up or down, right? So with a mixer, there's a lot of controls, right? So often, now again, I'm old, okay? I've been doing this a long time. So like back in the day, if you, let's say, had a band, you might want a 24-channel mixer. Well, in that case, that's a pretty big piece of gear, okay? It would be, oftentimes about 4 feet wide, and have easily 200 knobs on it. Because again, you've got quite a few knobs for each individual channel. Okay, we've got some comments. Okay, get down with your bad self. All right, well, thank you for the comment there, Jim. We do encourage you to comment. I will read your comments live on the air. So any questions or concerns that you have, you just feel free to let us know, okay? But we are here to try to help you out with demoing pieces of gear. So anyways, getting back to what I was saying, with these mixers, they could be quite large. Now, as you can imagine, going into a club or if you're at a church or whatever, you're trying to train someone, they first look at this daunting piece of gear and they're like, ugh. They see a forest of knobs and they're like, oh my goodness, we're going to need a bigger boat. They're like, this is a big deal, and it scared a lot of people. Now granted, once you explain it sometimes, even then they'd understand, oh, okay, I get it. It's not 100 knobs. It's just this one row of 10 knobs. Okay, I get it. But even then they have to do an organizational thing. They're like, okay, so I have to count over, channel this and then go up and down that. It could be challenging, okay? And it is, okay? That's why people actually, you can go to school, like MTSU, here in East Tennessee, has a program, a school that people go to just to learn how do you do this kind of stuff, because it's so integrated in what we do. So it can be very daunting. So engineers for years thought, well, we need to simplify this. We need to figure it out, because in addition to the actual mixer, you would find that, man, I'll tell you what, yeah, we got everything dialed in, but I don't know, the room just kind of needs something. So then they go, well, you know what? We're going to sell you an equalizer. Okay, and that was a piece of gear then. It was rack mounted often. Rack mounted meant it was a standard 19-inch wide rack mount that would have a series of knobs and so on. And so then you'd buy an EQ. Then they'd say, well, Bill over there, he's a real strong vocalist, and when he gets on it, it distorts. We need a compressor, which is a type of processor that limits the amount of sound that can go through, but actually increases the gain. Okay, so then they buy a compressor, which is another piece of rack mount gear. So you'd have this big mixer. Then you'd have all sorts of pieces of rack mount equipment, equalizers, compressors, effect processors, maybe a little reverb to sweeten the vocal up, all sorts of this stuff, where now you have another sizable box full of what we called in the business outboard equipment. Okay, so you have your onboard stuff, your preamp, then you have your outboard equipment, which is another huge rack full of stuff. And it worked. And we toured the earth with this stuff. It was great, right? But someone somewhere said, man, we have the technology. We can do this better. So the first digital mixer started coming into play. And what digital mixer really meant, okay, is that they were taking that outboard equipment and they were integrating it into the mixer itself so that you had less stuff to haul around. Make no mistake, the microphone, the guitar, the items that you plug into a mixer are not digital for the most part. They're still the same old mics, okay? So how to use it, you still plug it in. It's not like, oh, wow, like that was a record and this is a CD. It's not that kind of digital. Really what digital mixers are all about is they're compiling a lot of pieces of gear that you used to have to carry separate, and they're putting it into one nice compact, well, relatively compact box. Some early digital mixers were still about the same size as a traditional, let's say 24 channel mixer, okay? But now you don't have that whole box of outboard gear. They would have those equalizers, those effect processors built into them. Well, now as things have gotten even more streamlined, okay, they make digital mixers that are pretty small, okay, that you can still have faders and whatnot, and it's like a regular mixer, but have a big screen where you can see things. And even then, with that, people go, man, it still looks pretty complex. So in comes Soundcraft. Soundcraft is a very famous old British mixer company. Okay, it's been around a long time. And they came out with this piece of gear a couple of years ago. And let me tell you something. This piece of gear right here has changed everything. Okay, now it's called the UI-24. Now they come in actually 3 different sizes. Okay, the 24 is their in this UI series is the largest of the 3. Okay, you have a UI-12, a UI-16, and then this 24 right here. So as you can see, you might be going, well, wait a minute, that's not a mixer. That's just a box with a bunch of microphone inputs and outputs on it. That's a snake, okay? The term snake, by the way, for the uninitiative, is just the box that we'd sit on stage and we'd plug all our microphones in, and then a long cable would run it back to the mixer. But actually, no. This box right here has a very powerful computer built into it and a very powerful transmitter, digital transmitter that's transmitting signal from it. We're going to get into that in a second. But believe it or not, this guy right here is a very powerful and fully contained mixer, you know, in a box that's very small. Okay. It's also very affordable. I mean, here we are in what year is it? 2022? When you get old, you just kind of lose track, right? But I remember my friend buying a Mackie 24-4 back in 1996, and he paid $1,300 for it. And now, just for people who are whatever, figuring for inflation, that would be roughly like a $2,600 or $2,800 item today. Okay, and it basically had 16 microphone inputs, and then you had, or you know, there about maybe 20 inputs and a few stereo inputs. Fully analog, no effects, no nothing. Okay, this guy right here is actually less than half of that real value and does way more. Okay, and a lot smaller. So first of all, you might be asking, okay, first thing I don't see is, where's all the controls? Okay, well, here's the beauty of this mixer. All the controls are virtual. Now you might think, well, what does that mean? Okay, well, it simply means that you control this mixer. Okay, you control all the volume, all the, you know, the stuff that you manipulate your sound with any internet-able device. A cell phone, a laptop, an iPad, or any tablet. A Kindle Fire. I actually had a customer that used a Kindle Fire to control this thing. They all work. If you can use an internet-able device to log into Wi-Fi and check your email, you can use it to log into this mixer and control this mixer. So this is not the internet. Okay, I've had people ask me that, oh, do I need Wi-Fi? No. What this mixer is doing is it is transmitting a signal, and if you will, a website, that all you have to do is take your phone or whatever, log into that, and boom, now your phone shows you all the controls. So that is a very cool feature. Now, another neat feature about this mixer, okay, is that you don't even need to use an internet-able device to control it. Okay, now this is a really important thing for people who, let's just say you're using it at a church, a school, a business, something like that. You can use a computer monitor or TV monitor, anything with an HDMI input, okay? And you can connect it to this. So actually, switch the camera over so you can see the controls on this box here. I think it's camera 1. There we go. So you can see a closer things of the inputs and outputs going on here. So right here, you have all of your inputs and outputs, okay? So this is the input section. And as you can see, you have got 20 XLR, and the first 10 is XLR and 1/4 inch combination jacks. And then up here at the top, this is your output section. So this is your master outputs. So this would be what, let's say goes to the power amp or powered speakers that feed the audience. But then here, you have got 8 auxiliary sends or auxiliary outputs. Now, what are auxiliary outputs? I mean, in a nutshell, auxiliary means whatever, extra. It just means send it wherever you want to. Now, on the sides of this, you have, and you can just leave the camera there. You have this cool little series of inputs and outputs, okay? You've got 2 USB outputs right here, and then look at that. That's an HDMI output. So all you have to do with this is you take a simple HDMI cable, plug it to a computer monitor that's HDMI compatible or a TV screen that's HDMI compatible, and you will get all the control screens, which we'll show you in a second. Now, here's these USBs right here. You might think, well, what's that all about? Well, we're going to talk about that too. That right there allows you to take a mouse, USB mouse, and even a USB keyboard and plug it right in. So now we're talking about a completely hardwired mixer, okay? So we're not talking about, any kind of wireless stuff anymore that's going to control something. Now, if you want, Will, go ahead and switch it to the screen. If you look here, this is the screen. We actually took the HDMI output, because actually this recording, if you've watched any main stage music live streams over the last couple of years, they've all been used with a Soundcraft UI-24. We love this thing. It's phenomenal. And so this is what the screen looks like. So if you take your HDMI out of the mixer and plug it into a monitor or so on, this is what it looks like. And as you can see, it's a mixer. These are volume controls, okay? And you can see I've got little scribble strips at the bottom, and I've got names that I've put in and so on. Right now I'm on Drum Machine, okay? Because I was too lazy to change the name there. But anyways, so this right here adjusts the volume up and down. So now check this out. I'm going to adjust my volume. Hello. So it just works like a regular mixer. You bring the volume up and down. Now this cursor, this is a mouse. I just bought a $10 wireless mouse at Walmart, plugged it in, works perfectly. Okay, do the same thing with a keyboard. So you can use this thing hands-on without the wireless aspect of it. Now let's go over some basic functionality with it. Like a traditional mixer, you have functions like the mute. Mute function, let me guess. It mutes me. You also have a solo control. If you only want this channel on, you push solo. Okay? But now you might say, well, how do you adjust the sensitivity of the microphone? In other words, the gain. Well, let's look at this top scribble strip here. Okay? See where it says mix and gain? If you click on that, you can adjust the sensitivity up or down of whatever input channel that you've got there. Okay? If you look here, you can add phantom power if you have a microphone that needs that. You can have phase reverse. It's kind of a technical feature that effectively, if you had 2 microphones that are right next to each other, they can have phase cancellation. So you can take that and actually reverse the phase. And what it does is it basically makes the mic sound better, or can possibly reduce some feedback. Right here where it says edit, this is a really cool feature. You pick the channel that you want. So you saw I picked, obviously, the channel I'm on. You hit edit, and now you can adjust equalization, noise gating. You can add compression, effects, auxiliary sends, and patching. These are all really neat features. Now, we'll start with EQ. EQ, they give you a visual representation of the equalizer, okay? So as you can see, I like the way my bassy Barry White voice sounds, so I beef up the low end a little bit, okay? And I don't like a real trebly sound on my voice, so I've got that kind of flat. So really, this is how my EQ is set up. If you wanted to hear what it sounded like before, I can hit bypass. Watch this. Test 1, 2. This is what it sounds like without. This is what it sounds like with. So you can kind of A/B and hear what your changes sound like without affecting anything. You even have an RTA. RTA means a real-time analyzer. So an RTA allows you to ping a room. In other words, to make a room kind of sing to you and allow you to know, okay, this room is kind of mid-rangey, so let me adjust my equalizer to adjust to that room. You can also hit reset if you want to flatten everything out, like if you feel you've made too many changes, right? But you can adjust gain, do all sorts of stuff right here with the EQ channel. A gate is if you have an unruly amount of noise. You can adjust a gate level to basically cut off sound at a certain point. Compressors are a huge thing. A compressor effectively sets a ceiling and a floor to your volume or to your signal, okay? So if you were to have a real powerful singer without a compressor, if they go above the ceiling, the noise ceiling, you're going to start hearing, I guess, what we call distortion. So with a compressor, by adding that, it smooths everything out because it does not allow the signal to eclipse that ceiling. Additionally, it can add gain, which gives you a nice, thick, full sound. If you want to hear what our signal sounds like without compression, listen to this. Testing 1, 2. This is without compression. This is with compression. Pretty big difference, isn't it? So compression is the secret sauce oftentimes when you're talking about running, this kind of stuff. We also have some more comments coming in. We've got a comment from Jim. Jim says, if you let audience know, we can teach them at main stage. You sure can. We offer lessons on technical stuff like recording, mixing, all that kind of stuff. Vicky chimed in, dude, this is really interesting stuff. Actually it is. All we're showing you is the kind of stuff that all the tools that we all use every day, but some people think is too high tech for them. And, but really it's using tools like this, it can help you do a professional job, but do it, simply. You don't have to go to school for 4 years if you don't have to. Let's go to the next one here. We talked about the compressor and how important that is, okay? Effects sends. Now you might think, what's effects? Well, FX is just a short way of putting effects, 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 reverb, delay, things of that nature. So what we can do here is you can actually add reverb. So let's say you want to add some reverb. Hello, I am the all-powerful Oz. Do not pay attention to that fat guy with the cowboy hat behind the curtain. Ha ha ha. That's really distracting. So we're going to take that reverb off. But you have a series of effects. They're all made by Lexicon, which of course is a legendary effects company. But you've got things like delay, hello. That's really distracting, isn't it? But if you're doing a live performance, there's a lot of situations where having these effects are a big deal. So you have that editing control on each individual channel. Again, built in. Aux sends, what we're talking about here is how loud is this particular channel in this particular mix. Now, we'll get back to that in a second. And then the last thing is patching. Let's say, for example, like this particular microphone is plugged into input 4. But let's say that I didn't want it to be plugged into input 4. Let's say I wanted to plug it into input 1, meaning the microphone that I'm using right now. Let's say it was in input 1, but I want it to be controlled by fader 4. You can actually patch whichever one you want. So have you ever seen one of those old-timey movies where you have the telephone operator on the chair and you see her unplugging a patch cable from one? I'm connecting you to Albuquerque or whatever. This is effectively that. You can, okay, we're going to connect microphone 1 to channel 8. You can do whatever you want to with this thing. There's a lot of other really neat little technical features that we could literally spend an entire day talking about. So I'm just kind of going over the broad strokes of this. So that is just in your edit screen. Okay, let's get back to the mix side of things. So now you might say, well, what if we wanted some of that effect, but I want to see what the effects are on all the channels? Because obviously, if you're buying a 24-channel mixer, you're not just using one microphone like we're doing. You can go here to FXNs, and you can see and add reverb or whatever to each individual channel. That was delay, obviously. So we can let's put it on reverb right here. See these little tabs on the top? So we'll click on reverb, and let's add a little reverb to my voice here. Hey, and I should have been gone. Oh man, I sound like awesomeness. Just kidding. But let's just say that you want a little bit of reverb here, a little bit of reverb there. You can dial it in. Very simple. You can also mute the reverb. So let's say that you had the reverb going. Hey, this sounds really good. Let's see what it sounds like without any reverb. You just click mute and come on. There we go. And now you hear it with no reverb. Okay, let's hear it with some reverb again. Let's go back to the hit mute again, and you got reverb again. So you can kind of go back and forth when you're trying to dial in that sound. Okay, it's really neat that all of your stuff that you need is right there on a top little, shelf there at the top. You can see where my pointer's going. Okay, let's also look at moving right along. See this little play thing? If you could, cameraman, could you go back to the picture of the mixer again? Okay, so here I am. You might see these two USB jacks on the far right. Okay, one says play and one says record. So you might say play, what's that all about? Well, let me tell you what it's all about. This is a common thumb drive. All y'all probably got one of these things, right? You know what's cool about a thumb drive? You can go to your computer, you can take some of your favorite tunes and you can put them on a thumb drive. And then you can take your thumb drive and you can plug it right into where it says play here, okay? And you can feed, the thumb drive right into that. And then when you do, go back to the computer screen. You can go here to where it says play, and you can pull up all of the songs that you've had on that thumb drive. So, hey, let's hit this one here. Hey, look at that. Hey. So now all of the songs that you have stored on your thumb drive, you can show right here on the screen. Now you might think to yourself, well, what benefit is that? Well, it's very, it's hugely beneficial. I mean, obviously we're using it right here, right? But now imagine you are in a situation, let's say, well, we said a church before. Oftentimes a church will have songs that you play their congregation, right? Imagine having all of those songs right here on a thumb drive instead of having to worry about the piano player who didn't show up. Okay? Hey, everybody, turn to song 3. All the sound man has to do is go 1, 2, 3, double click it, boom, you're ready to rock. And it's all right there built in because of that little thumb drive. Additionally, imagine you were a club and you just wanted to have some music playing in the background for people. Just make it sound comfortable. You could load this up with a bunch of just background music and just hit shuffle and it'll just play. See how it says shuffle, manual, and automatic at the bottom? You can hit shuffle and hit play and it'll just play random stuff as it goes. Now, we also had sold one of these mixers to a local funeral home, okay? They have music that just kind of plays, just soft music, so the bereaved walk in, there's some nice music playing. But then, if they want to play specific songs, this works where you can view all the files depending on, how your thumb drive is centered, where you could have hold music, and then you could go to another section that says, program music, right? And then just pick a song off of there. So again, it's all about organization. And how beautiful is this? And go back to the picture of the mixer, is that all of it is just in this little thumb drive. Here's another cool thing, okay? Have you guys ever, well, let's just say it this way. Have you ever thought that, man, it would be nice to record this show? Okay. So like there's a band playing and, oh man, I wish I could record these guys. Well, back in the olden days, there'd be guys with tape decks with a little microphone and all this kind of garbage. Now, if you have a thumb drive where it says record right here, you can plug the thumb drive in. Okay. And now you can go back to the computer screen area where you can actually record everything that's being done. Okay, simply by, now of course I don't, the mixer that we're using right now is not obviously the one that we're, that I have a picture of, but you can actually hit record. It's this button right here. And if, we were using this mixer, it'd highlight, and then it would be recording everything that we're playing. So now again, imagine, and I use the term church over again, but imagine your congregation, your business, your club wanted to record everything, your courtroom. Okay. You could just plug a thumb drive in, hit record, and everything that was being done would be recorded onto that thumb drive. You can then take that thumb drive, plug it into your laptop or whatever, and boom, you could email that gig, that practice, that court deposition, that church service, whatever, to whoever you wanted. Or you could burn it to CD, or you could just store it. Long story short, it gives you all sorts of cool options. So that's another really cool feature. Now, go back to the picture of the mixer here. This right here says USB I/O. So you might think, well, what's I/O mean? Well, what I/O is all about is that this mixer also is a digital interface for recording. So let's say that you're a home studio guy and have a band, okay? With this mixer right here, you could use it to control your band's mix on the gig. And then let's say that you guys were practicing and you wanted to do a multi-track recording for a demo or something. That right there, output, allows you to plug it into a laptop and then track separate all of the channels. So if you have a mic plugged into channel 1, it goes to track 1 on your recorder. And you can effectively record a demo right there using this as an interface. How cool is that? So not only is it an extremely powerful mixer, but it actually can be a home studio as well in one piece of gear. Long story short, the USB input-output feature on this mixer is something that's never been done before on a mixer like this, okay? The fact that there's no moving parts. Again, less stuff to break, less scratchy pots from having dust or whatever in them. Or in some cases, let's say that you had a club, a church, whatever, and you might have people who weren't authorized to touch stuff. When you tell someone not to touch stuff, guess what you can almost guarantee they're going to do? Touch stuff, right? They want to go over there and, I'm going to fix this, okay? And then they mess everything up. With this guy, there's no moving parts. They don't even know, what is this thing, right? If they don't know how to get into it, there's nothing that they can really mess up. So again, it's a brilliantly simple solution to problems that plague so many, people. Additionally, it's lightweight. So let's say in a band situation, where would you set this? You'd set it right there on the floor in the middle of the stage, because this is where you're all going to plug your microphones and stuff like that into. So it's really a cool, piece of gear as far as going out and doing gigs as well. So, again, the UI-24 comes in several different versions. It's inexpensive. It pretty much handles everything. And again, I can't really think of a nicer way and simpler way to get into the world of digital mixing outside of this box. I bought one. We've sold a lot of them. They sound amazing, and they just work. So anyways, that being said, that's your demo, a very quickie demo of the Soundcraft UI-24. We have these in stock at Mainstage. You can see it in person and close. You can bring your phone in and you can use it yourself right there and then. It's an extremely simple thing for us to explain and show. We want to help you with this kind of stuff. So if you are a church, a band, a business, whatever that has unique needs for your sound equipment or recording or whatever, Mainstage is really the only shop that you can walk into and talk to a qualified person who's going to find exactly what you need for your application, and have enough experience both in having played out or having run a studio or whatever to truly help you with what you need. Okay, so feel free to come down. You guys are always welcome, and check out one of these great pieces of gear. But again, I'm Brad with Main Stage Music. I want to thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and so on our videos. We're on YouTube and Facebook. And if you have any questions, please pop into the store. We're open 6 days a week, and we're here to help. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and, there we go, and switch it on out. And I'm going to turn some music on. So, and we'll see you guys next time, couple of weeks.
Come on, take a ride. There's a party over there that ain't no job. It's live, it's all the way live. Don't even have to walk, don't even have to drive. Just slide, slip it, slide.